Greetings once again from quarantine, everybody. Again, NBC Sports Washington is proud to welcome on driver of the 95 Toyota Camry for Leavine Family Racing, Christopher Bell. Now, Christopher, I know that everybody is handling their quarantine a little differently. How are you holding up? Have you gone insane yet?
I'm bored. There's no doubt about it. But thankfully, we've had great online races so far this quarantine season. And I'm excited to continue it at Richmond this weekend. It's been one of my best racetracks in real life, so I'm hoping that translates to iRacing.
Yeah, we'll get to Richmond in a minute, but I'm actually more curious about the quarantine, as I'm sure a lot of people are. Now, I know you got married in early February with Morgan. Nothing like a good old worldwide pandemic to have two newlyweds cooped up with each other in the house. Are you sick of each other? Have there been fights? What's the deal in the Bell household?
Yes, I'm sick of her. I'm ready to trade her in and get a new one. No, not really. We've been together for a long time. I think we're working on year 6 or year 7 of being together. So we kind of knew what we signed up for whenever we got married. But I'm definitely ready to race again, man. I've never gone this long in my in a while anyway, without driving a race car. So iRacing has been a great tool for us to get on there and make laps, but I'm sure me and the majority of the other drivers are excited to get out of the house and do some real racing.
I think I've seen you on iRacing maybe more than any other Cup driver, but not on asphalt, on dirt, because we know you and your dirt background, but you've been tearing it up with the World of Outlaws, whether it's at Knoxville or anywhere else. I mean, I see you on there almost every single time that it's on television, at least.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it. I've been really, really busy with the iRacing stuff between the NASCAR stuff on Sundays, and then we had the Dirt Vision races with the World of Outlaws, and then we had the Fox races, and then we had the USAC races. So it almost turned into 7 days a week. There was something going on where we could race, but I loved it. It was able to get my mind off of sitting in the house and gave me something to look forward to. But it's been really fun to get on there and run dirt track stuff. Obviously I love that. And it's just a ton of fun to be able to get on there and race with competitors, just like we race on Sunday with real NASCAR drivers. Whenever we get on and we run the Outlaw stuff, we're racing with real sprint car drivers as well. So it's fun to race against real competitors.
I'm always curious to talk to drivers, whether it's NASCAR, IndyCar, World of Outlaws, Formula One, whatever it is, what their sim rig specifically is like, because you can have anywhere from a Denny Hamlin spaceship to a Ty Majeski bowl of ice to keep his laptop cold. What is your sim rig like, and how long have you been doing simulation racing as well?
Yeah, I've been in simulation racing for a long time, probably 10 years would be 2010. Yeah, probably around 10 years now. And I, for the longest time, I just ran with just a regular Logitech G27 steering wheel mounted on my computer desk. Fortunately, Chad Wheeler at WR1 Simulators has helped me out, and now I've got a WR1 sim. But between that and then just my computer desk, there's no speed in it. You don't have to have a rig by any means or a simulator. So, I split time between my computer desk and the simulator.
I know that a win is a win and virtual wins are different than real life wins, but how freaking cool is it to see Kevin Swindell win at Knoxville the other night? I was jumping off my couch. That was so cool to see.
So you were cheering against me, huh?
Maybe a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, me and Kevin are obviously good friends. I raced for him on the sprint car stuff there for a little bit last year, and we were able to win together. So that was really cool. And then it seems like we're kind of, I don't want to say rivals online, but on the first Fox race, I was able to win and he ran second. And then at the second one, he was able to win and I ran second. So that's been really cool to compete with one of my car owners and buddies too. And he's still got it. That's for sure.
Well, here's the thing. You're just going back and forth. So the next race, wherever it's going to be, you'll win that one and Kevin will be beat.
I hope so.
That's how it's got to work out. So specifically with the NASCAR stuff and the Pro Invitational Series, how have you gotten along with the drivers that are on the sim? Because I was just talking with Eric Jones, and I mean, he made no bones about it. There's drivers that put in a ton of work, have a lot of experience, and that kind of shows. And then there's your drivers that don't put in the work and don't have a lot of experience, and they don't do that because they have other stuff going on in their lives. They have friends and family that they want to see while everybody's sequestered at home. Where do you kind of sit in that kind of respective things? And have you seen kind of I guess a difference of skill that's gone since we started at Homestead to where we are now, coming off of a wreck fest that was at Bristol?
Yeah, it's funny you bring that up because, 10 years ago, whenever I was just a young kid, I spent basically, I was either driving real race cars or racing on the computer. And back then, every time I would get into a race, I was the guy to beat. I was the fastest guy. And since then, I've had a lot of life changes, just getting into the NASCAR stuff and obviously marrying my wife now. So I don't get to get on there and race as much as I used to. And whenever it first started up at Homestead, I could tell, man, I got in there and I wasn't as fast. But since we've been in quarantine, I've been able to spend a little bit more time on it. And I can tell that, I'm getting better, getting back to where I used to be. But there's no doubt about it, man. Laps rule, and the guys that spend the most time on it are going to be the most competitive.
Let's head to the real racetrack for a moment. I know you'll be the first one to admit this. I mean, the step up to Cup has not been kind to you so far, even though it's only a limited sample size. Whether it's bad luck or a big adjustment period, I think it's been a little bit of both. What do you think has been kind of the biggest jump or the biggest shift from going from the Xfinity Series to the Cup Series? And I know that it's been a big adjustment because we've seen you competing for wins week in and week out the past couple of years, and now it seems like everything's not going right for you.
Yeah, I would say the biggest adjustment for me is just going from JGR to LFR, and going from being a multi-car, I want to say powerhouse, to a single car team has been extremely different. And, thankfully we do have our partnership with Joe Gibbs Racing, and I'm able to lean on our teammates, but we still are a standalone team and trying to do this on our own. So it's just been very, very different. It's been a very different atmosphere and stuff like that, going from JGR to LFR, and hopefully we can land on our feet at some point. But we've definitely been swimming underwater here for the first couple weeks of the season. So this kind of break, I'm hoping is going to be good for us, allow us to kind of regroup and kind of hit the restart button, and hopefully we can be a little bit more competitive when we get going.
I will say it's probably nice that you don't need to relearn the camaraderie with the crew chief because you brought Jason Ratcliffe up with you. So I guess that's a positive.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the few positives I can take out of this year is having Jason with me. But we haven't been gelling, whether that's me and Jason or Jason and the team or all three of us to combine. So it definitely hasn't gone as planned for really all parties involved. So we need to try and get running better here. So thankfully we've got a long season, a short long season left whenever we get back going. And hopefully that we're able to learn from our first couple of weeks and apply that going forward.
Speaking of the short, long season, whatever it's going to be, we don't know when we're going to be back, but we do know that when we get back, hopefully soon, it's going to be all go nonstop crazy. We don't know the logistics of that yet, but we've heard everything from double headers to midweek races to shuffling around the schedule. And NASCAR said that their intent is to get all 36 points paying races in, including the All-Star race. I'm just curious, from the driver's perspective, you're hearing all this stuff too. Are you down for everything that they're talking about, maybe trying, or some things that are being talked about, you say maybe, let's maybe hold off on that?
Well, I think everybody involved with the sport is pushing really hard to get all the races in. And I know from a team standpoint, they need all 36 of those races because that's how they sell sponsorship, is based on a per race basis. So that's really important to get all the races in. And on top of that, I think it's a huge learning curve or learning experience for all of us. We can go in and try one-day races, and if the one-day races are successful, that's a huge opportunity to cut costs in the future. So I think it's going to be a learning experience, and I'm all for doing whatever we can do to get all the races in. And I'm a big advocate of less practice. So if we show up, qualify, and race, I'm all for that.
I got two questions for you, one serious, one fun, and I'll let you go. So this weekend at Richmond, like we mentioned, this at the virtual Richmond Raceway, you've had a ton of success in the Xfinity car there. I think, let's see what I got in my notes here. You've won there 3 times, and the last time the Xfinity Series went there, you visited Victory Lane as well. how does having success in the real car compare to how the track feels virtually in the sim? Because like Clint Boyer says all the time on the Fox broadcast, the only major difference is that you don't have the feel in the seat of your pants that you do in the actual race car. So how does the sim compare to real life Richmond?
Yeah, I think it does compare fairly well, and all the tendencies remain the same. The fact that you're going to fight loose off, you still fight that in the simulator. It's just a matter of getting the feel of the simulator, of the simulation itself, of knowing when the tires are slipping and how much you can turn the steering wheel before you overslip the front tires. Those are the difficult parts of racing online, and that's why it's really important to spend some time getting some laps. So as soon as I'm done with these conversations, I'm definitely going to go up there and start turning laps.
All right, here's the fun question. Have you and Morgan watched Tiger King yet on Netflix?
We have not. She's been pressuring me to do it, so it might be in the future.
Okay, so my question is, I'm not going to spoil anything, but one of the major characters that you've probably seen, Joe Exotic, he had a zoo in Wynwood, Oklahoma, and I did some research. That is less than an hour from your hometown of Norman. So did little Christopher Bell, this is one of the thoughts that popped into my head after These People Are Crazy.
Did you say Wynwood?
Yeah, it's in Wynwood. Is that how you say it? Wynwood?
Oh, okay. Yeah, Wynwood, I think.
Okay, so I think it was like 45 minutes from Norman. When you were a kid, did you ever go over to Wynwood and check out the exotic zoo or anything like that? Did you ever meet Joe Exotic?
I never did. No, actually, honestly, I didn't. I've never even heard of Wynwood, so I didn't realize it was that close. I just looked it up on my map. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, if Morgan's able to convince you to watch it, please report back all your findings. I'm very curious to know as a fellow Oklahoman. But I'm telling you, if you get into it, just buckle up because it's a wild ride.
Sounds good. Thank you.
No problem. Christopher Bell, thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to seeing you hopefully at the racetrack soon. Until then, stay inside and stay safe, all right?
All right. See ya.
Thanks, man.